first love language Gary Chapman covers is words of affirmation. And as Mark Twain once famously said, I can live for 2 months on a good compliment. See, verbal compliments or words of appreciation are powerful communicators of love. And even whether your spouse's love language is words of affirmation, I think even Gary Chapman says this, but it's just one of the important things to always be building each other up. And especially if their love language is words of affirmation, not giving them compliments can hurt them. But, I think too many times people, unfortunately, we tend to all be able to see the negative in others. And especially when you're around people all the time, you're married to them, you see their flaws like nobody else. And it can be easy to point those out, unfortunately. And I don't think people go into marriage intending to do that, but after some time, you can see the flaws, and whether you think you're helping or there's something wrong in your heart, you point it out, and that's how arguments and fights start. So but if their love language is words of affirmation, not giving them compliments can be detrimental to them too. And for some people this can be hard because they think, well, you took out the trash or you did the dishes, I don't need to give you a compliment. But that can really encourage some people. Gary Chapman says that the latent potential within your spouse in his or her areas of insecurity may await your encouraging words. And that just reiterates encouraging them. Sometimes if they're not doing something, just encouraging them, giving them, speaking positively to them, building them up will get them to do, whatever it is that they're wanting to do or you're wanting them to do. And nagging words can oftentimes make them dig their heels in deeper and not want to do it at all. Gary Chapman also talks about that you can say the right words, but your tone of voice, that can be how that comes across that's very important too. And so, like I said, even if their love language isn't words of affirmation, encouraging and building up is always important. And your tone of voice, how you come across, is always very important. He says, our spouse will usually interpret our message based on our tone of voice, not the words we use. Gary Chapman goes on to later say in this chapter that affirming your spouse in front of others when he or she is present, when you give public honor for an accomplishment, be sure to share the credit with your spouse. That can be one thing. It's just another important thing to always talk well of your spouse in front of others, to build them up. Sadly, I've seen too many times, people put their spouse down in front of others, and it can feel bad when that happens in private, but it can feel especially devastating when it happens in public, especially around a group of friends, because when you get married, you're excited to show, who you're getting married to off and say all the good things about them and just talk about how wonderful they are. But when you start putting them down, they may not consciously know that they're doing it, but it'll then say, they thought I was special and important, but this is what they really think of me. I'm not special and important. And because it happened in front of our friends, it has an even bigger devastating impact. So just remember, if your spouse's love language is words of affirmation, it's important to always be encouraging them. But if not, encourage them anyway, and always build them up. I believe that is something important, to always be, for one, building anybody up that you see, because we're all created in the image of God. And if you truly want a successful marriage, I believe that building each other up is very important.